All right. So, yeah, we want to welcome you guys to our first podcast here at High Res Media Studios. We kind of like put some stuff together, and we were going to shoot some promo videos. And after we're clean, we're like, let's sit down and get this thing going. So this is like the first time we've done a podcast or like that we've ever moderated a podcast. Yeah. I know that Joey has a podcast that he is starting. It's called, Mindset Mastery. That he just wants to talk about people that have a bigger mindset than what normal people have. My podcast that I want to start and that we are starting is called You're Not Just. So I'll explain that real quick. There's so many times in life that people are put in these little bubbles of you're just, or you're just this guy, or you're just a kid from the hood, or you're just a white dude from Michigan. But we're putting all these like labels, and like I've seen so many people rise out of those labels. I've seen so many people come like from poverty and from all these things to magnificent like feats. So what we're going to focus on in my podcast is that you're just not just. And I'm actually writing a book. I think it's kind of crazy. I can't even read a book, but I'm actually writing a book right now. Right now I have the first 8 chapters outlined, and it's called You're Not Just. And it's talking about people that have been there, have been like, have came from nothing, but like have kind of like put that stigma to bed that they're just this kid. Because I hear it all the time, like when, like I've heard it from Davion a ton, I'm just 16, or when we first started like kind of like doing work together, he's like, I'm just 17, or I'm just, this, I'm just this. And like we get that caught in that just. So yeah. But yeah, introduce yourself. This is Brandon. Brandon's going to introduce himself today.
Hey, Brandon.
My name's Brandon, as he just said. Yeah, I'm 31. I'm from Michigan, as you said. Just a white guy from 31 from Michigan. Grew up in Flint. But yeah, now live here in Cincinnati. Well, Lebanon, technically. Working for City Gate Church and Patriot Construction.
Patriot Construction.
Yes, sir.
Don't mind me, guys. I'm just doing B-roll.
Yeah. Don't watch the Hispanic dude in the background. He's not doing Bruce. He's doing B-roll.
The landscaping out front is beautiful, by the way.
So, introduce yourself.
Hello, guys. My name is Davion. I'm 18. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I work for this crazy man right here. Yeah. That's basically it.
You got to keep that rolling, man. So in that introduction, man, like, so we talk about we talk about people like putting these things on us. We're to the point that we believe it ourselves that we're just this. So I'm going to ask both you guys. I'll ask you first about like, where was a time in your life where you felt like you weren't just anymore, that there was a time in your life where you're like, oh man, I'm not just this kid. I can do so much more. I can do this or whatever like that. Just kind of explain a little bit. Don't talk like you're trying to have sex with us, but like talking to the microphone.
All right.
Davion's got that smooth, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You don't have to lick your lips like that close to the microphone. So
You're not getting a day off this podcast. Let's be clear.
There's like 2 people going to watch this thing. So.
Sherry and JP twice.
A time that I felt like I was not just.
First of all, tell us like how you grew up.
Well, first of all, like what you want, like a life story, or
it's not what I want. It's what that camera wants.
What you guys want? A life story? You want me to just sum it up?
Well, we don't have like 2 hours, so give us a short version of like where you came from, like how you grew up. White middle America.
Right. Yeah. So I grew up in Cincinnati. Cincinnati is very non-industrial. Just a lot of people doing a lot of nothing. I come from Mount Healthy, 7 Hills. It's a lot of drug dealing going on out there. Stuff like that. A lot of kids unsupervised. Just doing a lot of reckless stuff. But yeah, man. I came up. Me and my mom, we was, like homeless until I was like 3, 4, and then we was actually living in Indiana. Then we moved down here, Cincinnati. I was born in Cincinnati, then we moved to Indiana and moved back. So, but once we moved back, we was just like house hopping, you know. Then I think it was like I turned like 6, and then we had moved out to Wayne Terrace, which that's a Section 8. Just a whole bunch of apartment buildings, you know. Nothing too fun, you know. There's a lot of lame stuff going on around there, but you know, yeah. I mean, I come from nothing too special. I mean, a lot of poverty. You know, a lot of people don't really make it out where I'm from. I mean, you don't really hear about a lot of names or a lot of people doing really anything for real. So, yeah, I mean.
So when did that So this is you grew up in this poverty and this like low income housing, like this kind of what society wants to keep, like, you know, people down in. When was the shift? When was it like? When did you stop feeling like there was like this when can you lift that stigma that you weren't just a kid from Winton Hills, or you wasn't just a kid from Section 8, or you just wasn't a kid that was homeless? When did that shift?
About a year ago. Yeah, I'll say a year ago. We was at the camp at City Gate, you know, like I had attended camp,
A church camp,
and I actually wasn't going to church. I had just got out of jail, and for some stuff that I was doing, you know, some bad decisions I was making or whatever, and I was messing with this girl, and she was going to church, and she was basically telling me like, I'm not gonna mess with you if you don't go to church with me. So, you know, she invited me to church, and I went to church because I wanted to mess with her. So
yeah, gotta get us in all different ways.
So yeah, I ended up going to the City Gate, the youth camp, and you know, just a different experience. I ain't never experienced anything like that. I've never like went to a church camp, you know. But yeah, I feel like that was the turning point in my life where I was just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like at that church camp, like everybody's like, "Bro, JP, go find out how old this dude is." Like, and I asked him, I was like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" You know, like we started talking. I'm like, "How old are you?" He's like, "Oh, I'm 17." I'm like, "Dude, this dude's lying. He's 30."
100%. He gets off the bus, and about 5 of us are standing there. We're like, that's a 35-year-old man getting off the bus. What is happening right now? But come to find out, he was 17 going on 35 real fast.
Real fast.
So very confused.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was like 16 with like a full grown, you know what I mean? I got to cut it like every weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't look 40. I don't look JP age.
But when he gets 40, bro, he's gonna look like 65.
Probably 100.
I still look good. Bro.
Anyways, continue, Davion.
Yeah.
That could be a whole different podcast about how good I look. So we're at camp.
Yeah.
You never experienced anything like this. You're in Citygate camp, and they give some context. Like Citygate camp is a really good mix of white and black kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely multi-racial.
Yeah.
You know?
So it tends to be more comfortable than you just being at a white camp,
Right.
Especially coming from the hood where you came from.
Right. Nah, definitely made me a little bit more comfortable, you know. But what made me really most comfortable was just, you know, how welcoming everybody was, you know. It was like no renegades, everybody was just one, you know. Everybody was just like all the family, you know. So that was really just made me like really open up, you know, start talking to people and stuff. Cause I mean, at first, like you said, like how y'all was looking at me like, how old is this guy? And I was getting a lot of looks like that. So it was kind of like, at first I'm like, I don't know. But then as we eased in, you know, people start opening up to me. I started doing the same thing back, and you know, it was a really nice experience. You know, I don't really like before that, I wasn't a talker. You know, I don't like really opening up to people. You know, like really telling people how I feel or even what I've been through. You know, I just feel like it's a hard thing for me to do. But like in that moment, you know, when I was just, you know, experiencing all of that, I feel like I was just able to be free, you know, just
And so you get free at the camp,
right.
and I was there, so I knew what was going on. So you you accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, which is amazing.
Sure.
Like for never like being in church, never being in that environment, for you to allow those walls to break down, and like I watched walls like fall off you, man. Like I seen it happen. So like I can, like I was standing there when I believe that like you made it the decision. I mean, I'm just sitting there watching it, dude. I'm just like, holy cow! You can actually see like just weight falling off of this kid. And since then, so actually, you think about it, and then we're going to come back. So we're going to come back. We'll retouch your story. We're going to see where you come from.
Gosh. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up in Michigan, in a family of 5 originally. I have 2 older sisters, but then at the age of 12, we started doing foster care.
Nice.
From the time I was 12 to 20, we had over 80 kids come through our home.
Oh wow. That's amazing.
It's amazing, but rough all at the
I
same
bet.
time. Because you give a piece of your heart to every single one of those kids.
Yeah.
You try and give them a better life than they think that, or you think that they will ever have, because of the situation that they've been put in. Because a lot of those kids are coming from impoverished homes, from wherever, and or
Because you now have two black sisters, right?
I have 2 black sisters, so I have 5 adopted siblings outside of the 3 original. 2 black sisters, and then actually the youngest, Olivia, she grew up, or she was born in not a great state, and we got her. I say that we got her, and let me clarify. We brought her into our home when she was just a few months old, or just a few months old, like a year or 2 old, something like that, but still very young, and to the point that their parents couldn't take care of them. And so, yeah, grew up in that, and then grew up in a home where I thought everything was good, everything was great, and the next thing you know, I find out in 2017 that my dad had multiple affairs with my mom, or on my mom. He slept with over 17 women, I guess, in their 27 years of marriage. But growing up, I always thought, I was like, I'm just some kid that's coming from Michigan. I'm just another person that's going to grow up in the sticks, not really going to do anything. Family during all that time, and I wasn't playing music every Sunday for church. I wasn't really doing anything that I'm used to. I had to figure out who I was.
Yeah, it's hard when you have that designation that you're Brandon, you're the worship guy.
Yeah,
because I was a youth pastor for a while, and when I resigned as a youth pastor, I didn't have that man-made title, so I was just like, holy cow, like I'm just a dude in the church, and it was like God had called me for so much more. So like not having that designation is really, when you've had that designation, is super hard.
You put those labels on your life, and you're so used to calling yourself that label.
Yeah,
you're so used to just being that person. You're just that, and when you realize that you're not that anymore, you go into this mode of, well, who am I? What am I doing? What's going on? And you have I had a slight panic attack when that happens. I'm like, well, what do I do? Like, what now? And then I remember just like calling on God. I'm like, you've got to tell me what's happening next. And it's just like, wait and see. And that was terrible, because that's hard to be told, hey, something's going to happen, but you're going to have to wait.
Right.
What? No, that doesn't work for me. Like, you've got to tell me. And so 2020 was a big year of finding out who Brandon is. What more is Brandon than just being a musician, a techie, a person that can. Because I remember growing up that my dad would always teach me, he's like, why pay someone else to do it when you can learn to do it yourself?
Right.
And so I know there's so much more to me than just those things that I put a label on and kept to.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's awesome, man. So coming back to you, we're at church camp. We've seen that people can be radically changed. And then you're coming out of church camp. Like what happened in your life that brought you out of that just mindset?
So all of my charges I got dropped. I beat all of my charges. And, I got baptized.
So what he's not saying is he was facing juvie life, which he would have been in jail until he was 21 or 22?
Yeah, 21.
21. Yeah. And so he had a lot on his plate, like a lot of stuff to trust, like that God was going to take care of, like coming out of what that was.
Yeah, definitely it was, it was a lot going on at that time. Like I said, it was just around that time was ooh boy, get a little emotional,
Yeah, you're here to talk about it, so talk about it.
Nah, for surely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was facing till I was 21. They had my probation officer. She had messed up the discovery on one of my cases, so they ended up letting me out on electronic monitoring, and that's when I had, end up doing all that stuff. And yeah, they were trying to send me up to DYS, which is a placement in Columbus, till I was 21. I just I told God, I was like, look, I'm going to trust you, just let me know what I need to do. And, I met JP, and he told me what I needed to do, and I did. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you've had a drastic change from never really trusting too many people to you moved up to Dayton. First of all, you graduated high school, which you never thought you was going to do. I'll put all his business out there. Yeah. So we had spoke to his mom, and his mom was just he was in such a different state that she was like, man, I was planning his funeral, not his graduation party.
Yeah.
So that's a huge shift that he made from just being this kid from the hood to now he lives up here in Dayton. He's got his own apartment, works full time for Patriot Construction. We get on him all the time, keep him straight and narrow. Attends church every Sunday, a father to a son, So that's a huge shift that you're not exactly taking credit for, especially being 18 years old, and where are your friends at right now? Are they all working full time with their own stuff? And right.
Nah, I can't really, say the same for a lot of kids or a lot of grown people for real around my city. But yeah, definitely a lot of drastic changes. I try to. I'm still going through a lot, so it's still a little bit hard to talk about everything and really But yeah, man, it's been a journey.
Yeah, and we push him.
Yeah,
I push him hard because I know he can take it. So that's a lot of things he hasn't had any time to even take a breath because we just continue to push him. I don't see his van here in the morning. Where you at, man? You're supposed to be here at 8. Be here at 8. I'm like, where'd you go? I'm like, you tell your supervisor. Just tell him those little things that we're tweaking on him still. And but man, we got big plans for him because you're not just a kid from the hood. Right. You're not just a young black male that doesn't have anything going for him. I think you have proved that you have so much more inside of you that nobody wanted to tap into, but now that you've tapped into that, the sky's the limit, right?
Yes, sir.
So, what about you? So you come from and then you kind of find your identity, and now.
Well, I think a lot of things is that, and I talked about labels, but we all still have labels. You're a dad, you're a business owner, you're a veteran, you're a million different things, but you don't hang on to just one.
That's good.
That's the thing is that I'm now a dad, I'm now a husband, I'm trying to be an entrepreneur and business owner. I'm a lot of different things, but I don't just hang on to that one thing anymore because you used to get in there, or I used to get in there with a label and be like, I'm a worship leader.
Yeah,
that's where my worth is.
Yeah.
That is where everything comes from, because that is where I saw worth.
Dude, that'll preach.
And that's where I hung on to it, because I was like, that's what gives me worth, is being that label. But in reality, all of those things is what gives me worth and gives me a purpose and drives me throughout a day. Because now worship leader is not major on my thing. I don't have to go play. I don't feel like I need to do any of that. That is something I get to do because I love worshiping God and I love leading other people into worship. But I mean, I'll say that being a dad and being a husband is probably my top two labels that I hold on to, but also they're not my only labels. I'm still Brandon.
Right.
I still love to go shooting. I love to go golfing. I love to do all these things. So I'm not just a label.
Yeah,
there.
that's good. Yeah, and I think we do get caught up in it. It was funny yesterday. We were out. I was on a job site, and there was a guy that was like, we're walking around the house, and Steve was with us. Steve's our sales manager, amazing guy. He just fills the room up. And so the guy was like, "Oh," he's like, "You the owner?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, I pointed at Steve. I'm like, "That dude's the owner." You know, because back in the day, like when I first started like business, I was like, I wanted everybody to know that I'm the owner. Now I could care less because it's not my label, and there's so much more that I do in the business than just own it. And like, so I tell him like, nah, I'm like, if you want stuff fixed, man, I'm like, he's the owner, you know, and like, so like, I feel you on that. Like where when you first start something, you want to be that label, you want to be that man, but man, like once you start living, and that's really good you said that, man. Once you start living in all of those things, like all those things are equally part of you instead of just that one thing that's like, you know, like, oh, I'm just this and I'm just that, man. Instead of like being a mashup of all those things that make you who you are, I think that's really good, man.
Well, I think that, like, I talk about being a dad and things like that, and you have two kids that are blood yours, yeah. But you have a third kid that came from your wife,
yes,
that she doesn't call you dad all the time. And but you don't get hung up on that label. Now I know, like, that's a hard thing for me because I have a stepdaughter now,
right?
Who, like, I want her to call me dad, but also, like, I'm not going to force it because I still know, I know who I am in her life,
right?
I know she's going to come running to me because I am her dad,
right.
And that's the same thing for your daughter, is that she still comes to you because you're her dad,
right?
And it's like, but you don't get hung up on that title.
Yeah, and then the few times that she has called me dad, like, you know, she'll like slip and call me dad. I'm like, like I can name them. Like I still remember the times that she's called me dad. So that label, those labels are good. Dad, I'm not hung up on the fact that like I don't get called dad. And she's 25, and bro, if she started calling me dad right now, I would still be like, you know, like because it's just. But I'm not just like, you know, like I'm just not that label, like you said, and that's really good. Like for your daughter that's grown up, like you get a chance to be like everything that she wouldn't have. Yeah. So like if we get caught up on just that label, then it's you know, that's good, man. I like it. This guy's over here dropping like knowledge bombs. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, I think that's very important for us because also even as dads, I mean, because we all are dads now, it's you're more than just the dad, the disciplinary. You're the fun guy. You're the hey, let's go hop in the Humvee and take it for a ride with the doors off. You're the guy that takes your son to a parade and brings him in the van to be in something and show him more than just where he's living now, like. That is something. There's many labels under the label, and I think that's where people get so caught up in the just. Yeah. And you're right. I think it's amazing where people get out of that just. You're not just the cameraman, Joey, who's the Hispanic guy that was just going through and getting everything filmed. You're not just the editor. You're a dad. You're a husband. You're a worship leader. Yeah. Like. I think that's something that everyone has to find, though, is that find all the labels that you hold value to, but also find all the other ones that you don't think about because those also make you up, and you're not just that one thing. You are
I'm gonna
so many things.
I have to put credit for Brandon in that part of the book because I'm gonna write that down. Credit for Brandon.
I'll take a 2-cent royalty on every sale.
There we go. Like, I mean, you might be able to buy.
I'll buy a gumball,
Twizzlers or something like that.
No, I'll buy a 25-cent gumball out of the machine
dude.
one day.
I mean, if you get a 2% royalty off of that, like, get you a big gulp one day. So, well, cool, man. We're gonna wrap this up now, but it was great, like hearing like where you've came from and where you guys have come from. Both of you guys, like, I mean, it's amazing stories of not just being like put in those things. And I like your perspective on it. Like, man, like if we were to spin like that, yeah, we have these labels, but we're not just that one label. It takes all of those labels to make the person that we are. So that makes us not just. So I dig it, man. I like that perspective. I love how like you share your story that you've came out of like odds that a lot of your friends probably will never get out of, and I think you need to take the time to like really sit in that and like, and just realize that you've done more now than you were supposed to do ever in life because of how like society views where you came from.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to wrap it up. We appreciate you guys watching. Like this was our inaugural podcast. Get the studio broke in and get everything going, get everything set up, get the lighting right. I mean, I think I look really good in this light. I kind of feel like these McDonald's headsets are kind of like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm like, you want fries or what do you want with that? But I do like it because you get all these little like sounds. Nobody else can hear it, but I like it. All right, guys. So this is You're Not Just Podcast, and we'll see you later.